Welcome to the video. Today we are reading If I Ran the Circus by Dr. Seuss. If I ran the circus. If I ran the circus. This book is for my dad, Big Ted of Springfield, the finest man I will ever know. In all the whole town, the most wonderful spot is behind Sneelock's store in the big vacant lot. It is just the right spot for my wonderful plan, said young Morris McGurk, if I clean up the cans. Now, a fellow like me, said young Morris McGurk, could get rid of this junk with a half-hour's work. I could yank up those weeds and chop down the dead tree and haul off those old cars. There are just 2 or 3. And then the whole place would be ready, you see. All ready to put up the tents for my circus. I think I will call it Circus McGurkus. The Circus McGurkus, the world's greatest show on the face of earth or wherever you go. The Circus McGurkus, the cream of the cream. The Circus McGurkus, the circus supreme. The Circus McGurkus, colossal, stupendous, astounding, fantastic, terrific, tremendous. It will bring in my acrobats. I will bring in jugglers and clowns from 1,033 faraway towns to the place that you will see them in, ladies and gents, right behind Sneelock's store in the great McGurk tents. And I don't suppose old Mr. Sneelock will mind when he suddenly has a big circus behind. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends. He might even help out doing small odds and ends. Doing little jobs he could be of some aid. Some as selling balloons and pink lemonade. I think 500 gallons will be about right, and then I'll be ready for opening night. What an opening night! What a night! What a sight! I'll hoist up the curtains, the crowds will crowd in, and my circus McGurkus will promptly begin. With a welcoming toot on my welcoming horn, by my horn-tooting apes from jungles of John, where the very best horn-tooting apes are all born. 'Cause the very fresh air there is fine for their lungs, and some of those fellows have 2 or 3 tongues. This way, step right in. This way, ladies and gents. My sideshow starts here in the first of my tents. When you see what goes on, you will say no other circus is half the great circus the Circus McGurkus is. Here on stage 1, from the ocean of the old, is the sight most amazing, a walrus named Roll, who can stand on one whisker, this wonderful roll on the top of 5 balls, 2 for tennis, 3 golf. It is a marvelous trick, if I say so myself. And on stage number 2, here is something quite new. From a country called From comes this drum-tummied snum, who can drum any tune that you might care to hum. Doesn't hurt him a bit because his drum tummy's numb. And you will now meet the Foon, the remarkable Foon who eats sizzling hot pebbles that fall off the moon. And the reason he likes them red hot, it appears, is he greatly enjoys the blowing smoke from his ears. Of course, pebbles like this are quite hard to collect, but Sneelock will manage somehow, I expect. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends, and I am sure he will help out doing small odds and ends. And on stage number 4, see the Willy Wallo, who can throw his long tail as a sort of lasso. With a flip of the hip, with a tail of this kind, he can capture whoever is standing behind. He can capture old Sneelock, I am sure he won't mind. And now here is Hoodwink, who wings in his wing hood, Without a good wink hood, a hoodwink can't wink good. And folks, let me tell you, there is only one circus with hooded hoodwink, the circus McGurkers. The show of all shows, there is no other showman who shows you a show with a blindfolded bowman. The blindfolded bowman, Brigger Barut, the world's sharpest sharpshooter, look at him shoot. Through the holes in 4 donuts, 2 hairs on a worm, and the knees of 3 birds, without making them squirm. And then on through a crab apple, up on the head of Sneelock, who likes to help out, as I have said. And now come to the spot where the spotlight is hot, and you will see in the spotlight a juggling jot, who can juggle some stuff you might think he could not, such as 22 question marks, which is a lot, and 44 commas, and also 1 dot. That's the kind of circus McGurkus I have got. To the big tent, but that's just my sideshow, a start, a beginning. This way to the big tent, you will find your head spinning. Why, ladies and gentlemen, youngsters and oldsters, your heads will quite likely spin right off your shoulders. So hurry, step lively, quick, ladies and gents, and get in your seats in my tiny tent of all tents. My parade of parades is about to commence. You will see Drum Major Sneelock flying his baton, and my organ McGurkus come on with its hot steaming pipes of gold brass-plated tin, snorting all sorts of snorts in a bumbling din, that is super stupendous, stupendous, stupendous. And when I play Dixie, please join in the chorus. Then a fluff muffed truffle will ride on a huffle, and next in the line a fine flummox will shuffle. The flummox will carry a lurch in a pail, and the fibble will carry a flummox tail. While on a top of flummox, 3 harp-twanging sort will twang mighty twangs on their 3 snarper harp, while the bolster blows bloops on a 3-nozzled blueser, and Nolster blows floops on a 1-nozzled noozer. And then comes a lion who is partly a trout, and then more stuff for 45 minutes about. And then behind them, and then, while everyone stares, come my to and fro marchers, who march in 5 layers. The fro's march on 2s, and the 2s march on fro's. Don't know how they do it, but that's how it goes. And now comes an act of enormous enormance. No former performers performed this performance. This stunt is too gripply, slipplingly frightening. Down from the top of my tent like a greased lightning. Through pots full of lots of big stickish bush trees slides a man, what a man, on his roller skater skis. And he will steer without fear, and you will know at a glance that it is Sneelock, the man who takes a chance after chance, and he won't even rip a small hole in his pants. And now here, in this cage, is the beast most ferocious, who is known far and wide as Spotted Atrocious, who growls, howls, and yowls, the most blood-curdling sounds, and each tooth in his mouth weighs at least 60 pounds, and he chews up and eats with the greatest of ease. Things like carpets, and sidewalks, and people and trees. But the great Colonel Sneelock is just the right kind of a man who can tame him. I am sure he won't mind. Then I will let Sneelock off for a few minutes' rest, while high over your heads you will see the best of the world's finest, fanciest breezy trapezing. My Zoomazook troop from West Upper Bendizing, who never quite know where they zoop and they zoom, whether which will catch what one, and who will catch whom, or if who will catch which by the what and just where, or just when and just how, in which part of the air. Hey, hey, what a circus, my circus, my circus. My workers love work, they say. Workers, please workers, we will work and we will work up so many surprises. You would never see half if you had 40 eyes. And now again Sneelock, brave Sneelock is back, risking life of my patented life-risking track. While the speedsters I call my colliding collusions race around in swift cars called aberration contusions. And Sneelock just lies there, not one bit excited. I know he won't mind, he will be simply delighted. And here is the contest of brute strength and muscle. Kid Sneelock, my champ of all champs, will now tussle and wrestle a beast called Grizzly Ghastly and slap him around. Then he will slam him down fastly and pin both his shoulders tight flat to the mat. Kid Sneelock will love it, I'm sure about that. And while that goes on there, look at this, go on here. Have you heard of my herd of thought haunts jumping deer? Every deer jumps through horns of another pell-mell, while his horns are jumped through at the same time as well, by the deer whose horns also are being jumped through by another who is having his horns jumped through too, which I am sure trainer Sneelock can train them too. Then the whole tent will ring with hurrays and wild shouts, when I wheel in my whales and they turn out on their spouts. First my whale number one, with an aim that aims true, spouts a spout that spouts Sneelock to the whale number two, and then whale number two spouts a spout like a gun, and that spouts old Sneelock right back to whale one, and then forwards and backwards on spur after a spout. My great spout rider Sneelock gets spouted about, just as long as the water they are spouting holds out. Then my tournament knights, noble apes without fears, Sir Hector, Sir Vector, Sir Bops and Sir Bears, Sir Hawkins, Sir Dawkins, Sir Jocks and Sir Jeers, clatter onto the rent, and while everyone cheers, stage a roust about joust with their boxing glow spears. And all this wild ruckusing goes on below. At the top of the tent, look, the star of my show, great daredevil Sneelock, the world's bravest type. He comes fooled through the air by three Subrian snipe, on a dingus contraption attached to his pipe. And while people below are turning chalk white, and all biting their fingernails off their fright, great Sneelock soars up a terrible height. Then he shakes himself loose, he starts down in a dive, such as no man on earth could come out alive. But he smiles as he falls, and no fear does he feel. His nerves are like iron, his muscles like steel. And he plunges down, down, with his hair still combed neat, 4,692 feet. Then he will land in a fishbowl, he will manage just fine. Don't ask how he will manage, that's his job, not mine. Why, he'll be a hero, of course he won't mind, when he finds that he has a big circus behind. Stupendous, by Dr. Seuss. If I Ran a Circus was the book that you just now read.